Hey, welcome back. So, I did watch the new Star Trek movie, Star Trek Section 31. It's not in theaters. It's specifically on streaming. Section 31. It is a movie that exists. That is a true statement, and that is something that can never be taken away from it. That it is a movie that exists. Well, I mean, it could actually be removed from streaming, so it could stop existing. But yeah, it is a movie that was made. Is it a good Star Trek movie? No. Is it a good action movie? Honestly, not particularly. It is deeply mediocre in every level. The characters are. Most of the characters feel more like archetypes than actual characters. Like they just feel flat. They don't feel like particularly well-rounded characters with you know deep personal lives or anything. They're roles that need to be filled. The performers, the actors all do the best they can with what they're given. In some cases, they're given a lot less than they deserve, frankly. And none of them are given a whole lot. Michelle Yeoh is still fun as Emperor Giorgio, but even she gets to be a lot less entertaining and a lot less compelling than she was on Star Trek Discovery. The fact that she was, I think, like with Star Trek Discovery, she was a horrible person working with good people. It lent a certain complexity to it, and being influenced by those good people, and it did leave a it did provide a certain level of complexity that was just interesting to see the contrast here because she's working with Section 31. She's working with other people who are largely shitty, so you don't get that contrast. But at the same time, it's one of the complaints about how Star Trek Discovery handled Section 31 in general was that they kind of treated them as a sort of necessary evil. They made them a little bit sympathetic, tried to treat them as still being semi heroic, which definitely feels like it misses the point of the Star Trek franchise and of how they were used in D Space Nine. Here they go even further with that. It's they're a ragtag bunch of misfits on a mission to save the galaxy, and it's most of them aren't as amoral as they maybe should be, and they try to present them as more sympathetic. It's like, yeah, it's that doesn't feel like Star Trek. Um, One comparison I saw is that that they were trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy basically, and you know, not inaccurate. You know, lots of quipping and fair bit of like forced distrust. You know, like they realize that one of the team members is a mole, one of them's a traitor. And it's, oh, it could be any one of us. Can't trust any of you. And meanwhile, it is blatantly obvious to the, when you find out who the traitor is, it's like, yeah, I knew that, from the moment they said that there was a traitor. Is the least surprising option. And one that, all of them should have been, from the start, was like, oh yeah, it's probably this dude. Yeah, it's probably that person. That's probably the mole. Um, so, I mean, that just. It's an extended period of them. It's a pretty long section of them trying to figure out who the mole is. And it just ends up kind of dragging on. To the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I get, but just get to the reveal. The reveal is obvious, so get to it. Um, the villain is, one of those things that's, also pretty obvious who the villain is. Who the villain is, they foreshadow it right at the beginning. In the intro, they make it pretty clear who the villain is going to be. Um, it's foreshadowed reasonably well. But it's obvious enough who it's going to be that it's just trying to keep it a mystery just feels pointless. When everyone knew, right off that, oh, okay. So that's who they're going to make the villain then. Um, there's, they use Rachel Garrett, who appeared in an episode of Next Generation. Really good episode. She appeared in a really good episode of Next Generation. She was really. We didn't really get to spend much time with her in that episode, but she seemed pretty interesting. They have her here, and she is honestly significantly less interesting here. Um, so yeah, I don't know. There's just so little that works, and it's an action movie again. It's there's a few cool fight. There are some cool fights. There are a couple of cool action set pieces, but I've seen better from, I've seen better fight scenes and better action sequences, and it all just feels, I don't know, hollow. Um, there is one thing where it had originally been planned a as a series. Um, COVID shutdowns kind of threw off the plans, and it got changed into being a movie as well, or instead it got changed into being a movie instead, and that kind of factors in. Um, so it does throw off a lot of the pacing, because I mean it sort of sets things up that, over the course of a season might be fairly interesting, but because they only have 90 minutes, they have to resolve it like as quickly as they can, and it's just, like given like 10 episodes, because I mean it presumably would have gotten 10 episodes, so given it like a full season, Section 31 maybe could have been interesting. More time to develop the characters, um, more time to build up certain subplots and mysteries and all that sort of thing. It might have had potential to be interesting, but as an individual movie, it just doesn't really work. It certainly doesn't work as a Star Trek movie, and it doesn't particularly work well as an action movie. Like even remove it from the Star Trek franchise and make it its own, you know its own thing. It still wouldn't be particularly good. It's not the worst Star Trek movie I've ever watched. Its sin is more that it's bland and boring rather than being just offensively bad. Star Trek Nemesis is still a worse movie, because that one is just insultingly stupidly bad, while this one is just a failure. But yeah, this movie is definitely a failure. Michelle Yeoh and the director both said like, "Oh, we're open to sequels." And pretty much the entire audience seems to be like, "We're not. We're okay with no sequels to this." I've seen very little positive, like very few positive comments about it. I mean, there's the standard, there's the normal like, new Trek sucks, those chuds. But even like people who like do enjoy the modern era of Star Trek, even those people are like, ugh. I think just leave it where it is. Leave this movie where it is. No need to do any more. So Yeah, so Star Trek Section 31. It is a movie that was made. And that is about the most that can really be said about it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.